You're welcome inside the locker room on a Friday morning. It is 16 minutes past 8 a.m. It's the 11th day of July, 2025. We get to talk about sports and everything in between from now till about 8:45 or thereabouts. A half an hour of great sporting news and so much more. Banter will flow among other things. My name is Ayokunmi. Great to have you join us for another amazing edition of great sporting action on radio. Once again, it's the locker room. And joining me to take a look at the stories to talk you through what's been going on in the last couple of days where sports are concerned. The number one sports Amazon herself, Tega Supreme, is in the building. Good morning to you, Tega.
Good morning. Thank God it's Friday.
Yes, sir.
Okay. All right, let's start from the top. I was saying to Ayokunmi before we started, the scavenger manager has struck. We're going to talk about that. Yes, that's what we are calling him now. Rummaging through people's trash. We'll talk about that. We'll also touch a little bit on what happened in Wimbledon. Can some people just lose gracefully and go home? Or must there be
Mhm.
drama after they lose? We'll touch on what's happening in Wimbledon. What else has happened so far? Uh, Not much. The FIFA Club World Cup. Ah, ah, my mouth is still hanging open. They said this
Mhm.
because Inter Miami was from US. That's why they collected four. Okay, now the Europeans, how many did they collect?
What number?
What number? All
You,
right.
you
So
know?
we will touch on all that and more inside the locker room this morning. But before we do any more talking, Ayokumi, can you tell us how we can be a part of the locker room this morning?
All right, you can join us in the locker room this morning to talk about the number four, among other things. 0809 That is the WhatsApp number. You can also join us on YouTube. Yes, you need to be at the front or in the front row at Smooth 981 FM Lagos. Smooth 981 FM Lagos. Leave your comments in the chat box there and keep up with us as we walk you through great sporting action. We'll begin talking
Wait,
about
so before
the
we begin,
okay.
I thought the number for WhatsApp today was four, but since that's not the number, let's go back to a little bit of news we may have missed. Christian Horner fired. The
Right. Red Bull, Red Bull, Red
you
Bull.
know I've been saying it since last season. I was like, look, how did this guy survive when everybody saw the letter?
Jazz.
Well, the ninth life of the cat finished. See, I think some people are just mean because even Christian Horner didn't know he was going to be sacked. In fact, so let me explain how bad it was. It was when he came to break the news to the rest of the staff the next day. He said he was shocked that, which is why there was no official speech prepared by him. Only Red Bull gave their official speech and said with immediate effect. But there was no official speech by him. But he had to now give a speech, to the workers. Somebody was now recording it on their phone, and that person now
Oh
sent
wow.
it to Sky Sports. People are mean. And he was recording, you could see that it was a handheld phone that was recording the farewell speech. And the person now sent it to Sky Sports. Sky Sports who played it like that. For us to
Authentic
know.
authentic video.
Authentic video straight from the source. But he was just like he was shocked that it was happening. That he hasn't been fired from the team entirely, but as head print team principal, basically as the active team principal, then he no longer works for Red Bull. Bottom line is he's been fired. Once they remove you from active duty and put you on the desk, you've been fired. Just
Essentially.
just carry your small integrity that is left and your fee, whatever fee they pay you off with, and go on the beach somewhere to lick your wounds. But yes, it was the sacking with immediate effect that shocked him. He couldn't believe it. Where did this come out from? I thought I survived last year. No, honey. You just jumped you just jumped through the first maze of weapons. You're dead now.
Just like
All
that.
right, so let's go to WAFCON. You know, we have our brief WAFCON coverage every day. So let's go over to Morocco and get that
Yes,
WAFCON
indeed.
coverage.
All right, heading over to Morocco and talking about the Super Falcons. Substitute Chiwendu Hizzo scored an 89th minute winner, yes, as Nigeria overcame stout resistance from Botswana to claim a 1-0 victory in their WAFCON Group B clash at the Larbi Zoli Stadium in Casablanca, sealing a quarterfinal place in the process. Hard fought win, Tega, but still 3 points.
I would say that. I would also say that the Super Falcons didn't look like the same team that came out in the second half of the first match. You know, maybe they thought Tunisia were tougher opposition and they approached the second half differently, um, despite being 2 goals up. But it was not the same look. And yes, I know every team has its own nuances, so you have to navigate that water. But it was not the most convincing of performances I've seen. But I'm just going to take what Rinsola said at the end of the day, you know, that it will not always be pretty, but we'll try to get the win, which is what they did. And that Ihezuo's goal was every inch of determination. Because when that cross came in from, what's her name again, Okoronkwo, when that cross came in after she had dribbled the defender and then passed the ball, some people would have left it thinking, you know, because at least she was shooting at the target, people would have thought she was shooting on target, but Ihezuo followed that ball till she ensured that it entered the back of the net. That's when she stopped running. Okay. And then even when she followed the ball, she had to reach with every inch of her leg to hit that ball in the back of the net. So that was the that was the kind of determination that they had to win that match yesterday and qualify for the next round. It was very important that Nigeria didn't drop points against Botswana because you had a bad display, then you drop points against the, well, one of the weakest teams.
Mm.
It doesn't make enough statement for Mission X, and they needed to make that statement. So I think the meeting today will be a different kind of meeting. In fact, I think video review day is not going to be pretty. I don't think any of them would like to watch it. Um, but it's something they have to do to prepare against Tunisia, Algeria. So it's important that they did that. Now, Tunisia, Algeria played a pretty drab, understated draw. So
Yeah,
Nigeria
nil,
is kind of
nil, nil.
mm, so Nigeria is kind of in the clear. But what we are looking at in the group stages is not if they can come out of the group. That one was always almost certain we're going to come out of the group. What we're looking at is this team ready to do a 10th title? So we are judging Nigeria a little differently from the other teams.
Definitely.
Yeah,
Definitely.
because you're judging them with their potential to beat either one of Morocco or South Africa or Zambia, or if there's any other surprise package out there. Yeah, that's what you're measuring their performances against those teams as opposed to against the members of their group. So that's why the analysis is kind of different. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Still sticking with what's going on in WAFCON. Let's talk about Banyana Banyana. Their head coach, Dr. Desiree Ellis, did not mince her words ahead of Friday's crucial Women's Africa Cup of Nations group stage clash against Tanzania at the Uja Stadium in Morocco.
Yes, they need to come out against Tanzania in this game. Again, on paper, when you mention all these teams, they are not teams that ideally should worry the defending champions. But given the second half performance by Banyana against Ghana, a team that was globally horrible in their performance in that first match, and they still didn't concede in 45 minutes in the second half. It's the kind of thing that would give a coach worry. You can say that South Africa took their foot off the accelerator, seeing that they were already 2 goals clear. Or you can just admit the fact that they too didn't have a great performance despite their opposition being poor. And I think that's what Desiree Ennis is really on about, look, that every match you have to approach every match with the same urgency,
Right.
intensity, and
Right.
the same level of efficiency. So that when you need the efficiency, it will be muscle memory. That's what she wants. That's the kind of performance she wants to see. So again, against Tanzania, like I said, if you're looking at the quality of opposition on paper, Tanzania shouldn't be anything to worry about. But because you are judging the Banyana by their results, their performance, and their status as defending champions, the judgment becomes a little different. It's no longer just about getting out of the group stage, it's about
Mm.
performing well in every match.
Becomes about performing well in every match. And that's something they definitely need to come to grips with. All right, away from WAFCON and football for now, let's head into the world of tennis. And we're talking about Wimbledon, specifically heading to the wild, wild west of the women's side of things, where Ariana Sabalenka took a swipe at Amanda Anisimova over her behavior during the American stunning Wimbledon semifinal victory on Thursday. Is it just me, or does Sabalenka have this thing? I don't know. This is not the first
I
time.
told you, look, I told you people since that this thing is there. People say, oh, she's so passionate, da, da, da. And that's true. But she also has this thing where she tries to make everything about her. And that has always been my problem with her from the Ukraine invasion till now. Um, so here's what happens. She comes into the press conference room and says, if you're waiting to hear something like the French Open final, you better leave now. Then she goes ahead to deliver another French Open final performance.
The irony.
Do you understand? You're telling people that this press conference, we are not going to pick on anybody. Then you go ahead to pick on somebody. Now, if in fact, when I was watching the match and I saw this point, I knew Sabalenka was going to be angry at it. So one of the points that she made mention of, there was this point, when they hit the net with the ball and it goes over, you apologize to your opponent
Right,
even if you're
right.
happy to win. It is normal in tennis. But Anisimova was serving and she had battled. I think that was a long rally. Maybe that was a 15 shot, 17 shot rally, but it was not a short rally. So it was above a 9 shot rally. And she had hit one ball back that she wasn't supposed to get, and it caught the net, but it still went over. Then Sabalenka hit it back, and then she hit it and won the point. Ideally, Anisimova should raise her hand to apologize, but instead, she raised her hand to celebrate.
Mm.
And why? Because she had been broken in her last serve and she was just about no, she had struggled, yeah, to hold her last serve, and she was just about to be broken again. I think it was 30-30, then it
Okay.
became 40-30, and then she won. So she celebrated immediately without even remembering that, hey, you're supposed to apologize for it. When I saw that point, I knew Sabalenka was going to complain about it because everybody else would have. Um, but for her to now add that point to another point where Amanda won, Amanda hit the shot and was celebrating before the point hit the grass because Amanda knew she had hit a winner.
Yeah.
Sabalenka was now mad at that. That why was she celebrating? That she should have waited for the point to hit. And I'm just like, you can't pick on everything. But the only reason, again, you're picking on all these things is because you lost. Because if you won, you'll be talking about how your fighting spirit came to the fore, how you are mentally strong, how you spoke to Novak Djokovic and he gave you some mental tips. But
Mm.
because you lost, you're picking on all these different incidents. And so at the end of the day, when people say, oh, she should be a gracious loser, I don't think anybody should be gracious in losing if you're really competitive. I don't expect too much of you, but I expect you to not lean in on certain things. And Sabalenka tends to do that. She didn't win because she played well. She won because I played horribly. Two things can be true at the same time. She played well and you played horribly. Hap on the well that she played. Do you understand?
I get you. I get you, Tega. All right,
Yeah,
let's
but
quickly.
what
Can
that
we?
means is, can
Okay,
we quickly
go on.
touch on the men? Yeah. So
Yeah,
what that
before
means is
before we break.
basically, yeah, that what that means is Sabalenka is out now, and Anisimova faces Iga Swiatek, who breezed through her own semifinals into the finals. So it's Swiatek versus Anisimova on the women's side. On the men's side, we find out today Alcaraz versus Taylor Fritz, and then the two wounded warriors, because Yannick Sinner is carrying an elbow injury,
Yeah.
and then Novak Djokovic is carrying a stomach and a leg injury, according to him.
I'm glad you
So,
said according to him. Because I'm going to say that guy, his way is not pure. Mm.
so, so we wait to see which of the wounded warriors make it to the final, and which of the excited bros make it to the final. Either way, it sets up for an interesting semifinals in the men's side today.
Huh. There's going to be fireworks, most definitely, at the All England Club. More fireworks to come in the locker room on the other side of this quick breather as we're talking about Real Madrid and their manager, Xabi Alonso, who's looking forward to starting from the scratch. Don't go anywhere. It's smooth music.
No, but I think Novak Djokovic has an injury. He just exaggerates everything. He's so.
Um, that's how you now come and start doing Superman
I
all over the
think
floor.
that's how Flavio Caboli broke him back. So in the third set that went to 7-5, he had broken Flavio in the earlier in the I think when in the first game. That's how Caboli broke him back. That's how this guy had a fall and laid on the floor as if he was a geriatric patient. Anyway, he came back and won the set. Is all I can tell you. And Flavio came over, helped him to pick up his racket.
Hmm.
Then he returned the favor by beating him. I tell people all the time, look, that guy, even if you see his hand hanging off the shoulder, as long as he's still playing, beat him. When you finish beating him, you can now help him put the hand back in the socket. I'm telling you, beat him. I think the only person that has grasped that right now is Yannick Sinner, because Yannick Sinner also plays like a robot like him.
I guess
So Yannick,
that's why he has four straight wins against Joko.
but because he's struggling with that elbow injury, and you can tell Yannick is struggling with that elbow injury because
Yeah,
he used to get some free points on his serves.
he was
He
clearly
doesn't
in
get them
pain,
anymore.
clearly
Yeah,
in pain and uncomfortable.
yeah. So it's a thing. So I don't think an injured Sinner can beat Novak Djokovic. I don't think so.
Hmm. Well, we shall see. Today don't come. We shall see how that one pans out.
Hmm.
Interesting
I'm
times
not
ahead.
an injured Sinner beating Djokovic. No, Djokovic is the master of the dark arts.
Tina still the learn work.
Sinner never reach.
Oh my goodness.
So
Ah,
once Sinner reaches, you can, But if he were fully fit, if Djokovic like may stretch like uh, waiting they call am when they put salt warm when they put salt on top. Sinner will beat him first. After beating him, he will now come and give a nice speech at the end of the match. I saw he was struggling physically, and I wish him all the best. But I'm happy I'm in the final.
won't be happy. Yeah. Real Madrid, you. Hmm. All right. That's right. You're listening to the Smooth Breakfast, and you're specifically smack dab in the locker room talking about great sporting action, all the sporting news that you need to bring you up to speed. Welcome back in. Ayokunmi here. Also, Tega Supreme doing supreme things to the news and all the sporting information this morning. You get to share your thoughts with us as well. We love to hear from you always. So please send your messages in to us on WhatsApp. The number hasn't changed. It is 0809444091. Also join us on YouTube at Smooth 981 FM Lagos. Smooth 981 FM Lagos, where we've had a couple of comments. Tega, should I take one or two of the comments real quick before we dive back in?
Oh yes, let's do that.
Okay, Elke Aderoba has finally surfaced. Yes, he's back, people. He says, I told you at the beginning of the Club World Cup that the final would be PSG versus Chelsea. You didn't believe me. When I don't see now, Chelsea always performs better when they are the underdogs. Check out the last
You were
two.
not the underdogs in any of your matches, so calm down. You that came in through inter-house sport route, okay, Aderoba.
I
Did
have
you
heard
see
that
your fixtures?
I feel that that's this. As far as I'm concerned, there's basically no difference between Inter Miami and Real Madrid, as both teams collected 4 goals each from PSG. Dembele's Ballon d'Or is now certain, sealed, and delivered. Ah.
Which is shameful.
Mm. And let me just take one more from Mucho Naoko, who says PSG beat Madrid like they stole something from them. Madrid has been in a state of decay for a while, and they need good players to get back to the top. Chelsea versus PSG, can't wait. United buy players. China, just calm down, calm down. That's all I can say. Anyways, back to the nitty-gritty of the matter here. Talking about Xabi Alonso, Real Madrid's manager. Now, he's looking forward to starting from scratch with Real Madrid next season after being thrown in at the deep end as coach of the Spanish Giants in the Club World Cup.
Yes, he was literally thrown in at the deep end with that horrible performance. And it's just even the way they started. I remember when I was speaking about the defensive vulnerability of Real Madrid. Um, I forgot to mention that the attack wasn't sharp, but let's start with the defensive vulnerabilities because the first 2 goals, I've not seen it in 5-a-side. You know, 5-a-side that you play in streets.
Mm.
I've not seen people give away ball like that. Not to talk
Shocking
of
mistakes.
not to talk of professional people at defenders at the highest level. So it was embarrassment of epic proportions, of biblical proportions. This was an own goal. That's what they were. First of all with Asensio. I was I didn't know whether to shake my head, whether to mutter, but that mistake was bad, but it was not still as bad as what Rudiger did.
Mm.
And, to come from Rudiger, once Rudiger did that, it just meant that the rest of the defense, because once the leader is not confident or he starts shaking his head or he loses hope, the rest of the team follows suit. So if
Yeah,
the
heads will
leader
drop.
if the leader in the defense is doing that, then what are the rest of us headless chickens supposed to do? So I think ultimately that was not the only thing. I mean, because PSG kind of dominated in the areas they needed. Every time Real Madrid was on the attack, you had 5 or 6 PSG players defending. So there was no space for anybody to express themselves. Even Vinicius Jr., I could count how many times I saw him on my TV screen. And even then, he looked like a toothless bulldog. All his dribbles came to nothing. But every time you saw Real Madrid on the where you saw Real Madrid defending or PSG on the attack, it was maybe 3 PSG players against one defender trying to trying to stop the assault.
You
So
know?
it was the one thing I thought. I spoke about PSG's ability to break fast and already be face to face with your defender. If Alonso had any sense, you stagger that defense. You make sure that PSG walks through 2 layers of defenses so that even if they score against you, it wasn't that easy. The goals
Yeah.
that PSG scored were too easy, number one. And it was almost as if they scored whenever they wanted to. Because they weren't in possession of the ball most of the time. But as soon as they collected that ball and went on the attack, they saw the whites of Courtois' eyes. And that shouldn't be. So defensively, Alonso dropped the ball. And once he dropped that ball defensively, they were scrambling on the offense. It's not like Barcelona that can concede 3 goals and score 4.
Exactly. Or six or
So,
seven or something ridiculous like
do
that.
you understand? You will beat me, but we are going to. This match is going to end with goals on both sides. But Real Madrid not so. So yes, Alonso is starting from scratch. He has to determine what kind of team he wants to have, and going by his Bayer Leverkusen resume, I think that defensively, Real Madrid will be vulnerable. The question is, can they still be lethal despite being vulnerable defensively? That is the question Alonso has to solve.
Definitely. And of course, the Club World Cup final is going to be PSG and Chelsea. An interesting one we look
Okay,
forward
let's
to.
go to the PSG and Chelsea story first.
All right, talking about PSG and Chelsea. Well, Chelsea have been given a very, very huge boost where Moises Caicedo is concerned. He's back in Chelsea training ahead of the final with PSG on Sunday after he limped off in the win against Fluminense.
Yeah, so some people were already saying, oh, hamstring injury, oh, broken something, oh, broken this. I was just like, this that boy. If you wipe him with a palm tree trunk, is a palm tree trunk that was scattered. But here he is back. I don't. Of course, he's not 100%, but I'm sure he can feature, and they need him because in that midfield, you don't want PSG to overrun you. Now, what we need to beg Caicedo is that when you are tackling, please don't tackle them badly because Caicedo can enter tackles 100%. And sometimes some referees will bring out the card. You cannot always get away with nasty tackles. So the only
True.
thing is to tell him to put some handbrakes on his tackling in that midfield. But Chelsea needs that kind of sturdy, tenacious defender that covers everywhere, every blade of grass. So it's good news for Chelsea that he's back in. I'm not sure that if PSG is running at Chelsea, Caicedo alone is enough to stop PSG. But having him in that Chelsea midfield means that they keep their familiar shape. And that can help when you're approaching a tough match like Chelsea. I still think that Chelsea are the underdogs here. I still think that I don't know. In fact, I don't see how PSG does not win the final. But I said this in 2012 when Chelsea faced Bayern Munich, that
Right.
there's no
Right.
way that Chelsea was going to win that final. We know what happened in that final. So I'm not going to write Chelsea off based off of the fact that they've pulled off some wonderful upsets in the past. But at the same time, I remember how dangerous PSG can be. And I
Mm.
fail to see how PSG doesn't come out the winner on Sunday.
Yes, indeed. It's going to be a bumper one. All right, just Tega, should we talk about Italy, Spain, or Arsenal's transfer business really quickly? You're muted, Tega.
Let me run through Arsenal transfers business. Let's just go to the fact that they've signed Nogard from Brentford. So which I'm not wondering what they are going to play in that midfield because Mikel Arteta is signing players where he doesn't need. Because now you have Zubimendi, you have Nogard, you have Rice. Who is going to play what? And who is going to sit on the bench? Oh, and I forget that you have Mikel Merino, or have we decided that we are converting him to a forward?
He's a false nine. He's a false
So
nine.
okay, it's a false nine. That's what we are saying now. So we've converted it to a forward. So they're making signings where they don't need. And then this morning there was the here we go from Fabrizio. So Noni Madueke from Chelsea, another scavenger deal is back. Is at Arsenal. Very and all these signings are unnecessary. All Arsenal still need is a forward.
But they also need depth in that team as well. Injuries
Yes, you can
are a
you can
factor.
talk injuries, but how many you are covering? Do you understand? They have covered for so many things in that midfield and nothing up front because Gabriel Jesus doesn't cut it. So you don't just need a striker, you need a lethal striker first. Then they still need a backup striker. Or Havertz is good enough. Is that what they're saying? Anyway, Arsenal's ambition is to come second. So I guess that's that for that. Let's take some messages.
All right, let's take some messages. Ayofeda that says Jude Bellingham has mastered the art of looking busy on a football pitch. On a football pitch, the casuals love it. The analytics guys love it as well. But I see through it. He's not elite in any sense of the word. Closer to a Scott McTominay than a Pedri or a Musiala. A 3/10 on his best day. He's overrated. A fraud in my books. Did Bellingham take your babe, Ayofeda? That because why now? Let's calm down. This is from who's talking to us here? Okay, there's no name attached to it. It says Real Madrid players look like they ate 5 wraps of fufu before playing that match. Valverde and Rudiger looked tired and overfed. I was thinking I would hear Ramontada in the second half. Instead, they collected Jara in injury time. Okay. And this one is this one says, PSG, PSG, PSG. You come, you collect. Anyways, I feel for the fairy tale Chelsea in advance. Just free money for the betters. Try don't get
You.
greedy, adding add-ons. Just straight win and collect your little Isusu. 5-0. Just my honest prediction, Sha.
Ah.
Uh, Mayo Wainikeja says, Maresca should watch PSG versus Botafogo for Expo on how to beat PSG. Did PSG play Botafogo? I can't remember. Did they? Okay, they lost to them in the group stage, if I remember correctly. Yeah, they lost to them. Okay, let me take these ones from YouTube. All right, who haven't I taken the message from here? Padre Pio says Madrid showing Carlo Ancelotti was not the problem. 3 goals conceded in under 30 minutes is unforgivable. The final is not about winning, but how many LK's team will collect with the wait. Ibrahim Hassan says LK Adroba has finally appeared. When Chelsea is doing nothing, he ghosts. PSG for the win, sha. And Richard Dinero says Real Madrid have players in the middle that are only concerned in attacking, not building up from the midfield, unlike PSG. They'll continue to struggle if they don't learn the basic build up. All right. Thank you for all the messages. Tega.
Oh, so many messages. Thank you so much for the messages via YouTube, via WhatsApp. Thank you for tuning in to Smooth 98.1 FM to listen to the locker room. Now, this weekend is massive. There's the Wimbledon final, there's the Club World Cup final, and of course, there's the Women's Euros happening on the other end. Such a shame to see the crowd at the Women's Euros and then you tune into the AFCON and you don't see the same crowd, but we'll talk about that on Monday. All of that happening in the world of sports this weekend. So when we come your way again on Monday, we'll have lots to cover. On that note, have a fantastic weekend.
Alrighty. Thank you so much, Tega, for an amazing week. Have a fantastic weekend as well. And thank you all for keeping it tuned to the locker room. We appreciate you each and every single time we come on the radio. You all are the real MVPs. We'll be back again on Monday for another installment of the locker room. Meanwhile, the smooth breakfast will continue to Friday, so it's feel good vibes all the way.